The Digital Photography Cafe show is brought to you by Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool for your camera, and by ShootProof, the easy way to proof and sell your photos online.
Welcome to the Digital Photography Cafe show. Join hosts Trevor Curran and Joseph Christina as they chat about the art and business of photography.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is episode 112. I'm Joseph Christina here with my co-host Trevor Curran. On last week's episode, we talked about using long lenses in your portrait photography, looked at some funny new ads from Canon and Microsoft, and discussed the FTC's crackdown on search engines and how this may affect your photography business. If you haven't watched last week's show, I encourage you to do so. You can find it at our website, digitalphotographycafe.com, in iTunes, listen with the popular Stitcher, TuneIn, and Xbox music apps, or watch in HD on TiVo.
Hey, we are back. How's it going, man?
We're here. Good. Nice. Another summer day in sunny, I guess it'd be Florida paradise, as they say.
Yes. Lucky you.
All about that, but yeah, whatever.
Oh.
How are you doing up there?
Doing good. Yep, we're hanging in there, keeping busy. Enjoyed the 4th of July. So It's after the 4th by the time you guys will be listening to this. So
right.
it was a nice night. We had a nice afternoon picnic with the family, and It was hot and sweaty and kind of nasty, but it was sunny.
No complaints with that, right?
No, it's all good. That's what the showers are for, right?
Yeah. We were down on Miami Beach basically for the festivities. Got to see, we're up in a skyscraper, so we got to actually see probably about maybe 7-8 fireworks shows in different small
directions.
municipalities
Wow,
or
cool.
town. It's kind of cool,
That's cool.
That was kind of nice.
People lighting bottle rockets off their rooftops and stuff.
Yeah. There was just, it was kind of nuts. The Miami police were like crazy. There was a boat flipped over in the middle of the road. I don't know. People get kind of drunk and they do kind of stupid stuff. I think the guy took the boat out of the slip and decided not to lock it down, and the thing actually rolled off, going on the the incline, I guess, or the decline of the bridge, and the whole boat was just in the middle of the road.
Oh man.
Yeah, just crazy stuff like that. People just get nuts.
Yep.
So anyways, a lot of cool stuff this week, right? A lot of things came out, some really interesting stuff, some maybe even, world moving events, especially when it comes to the new camera stuff. We like talking about the new cameras. We always say it's, the shiny new thing. We kind of make fun of it, but kind of the new bodies, kind of make the world go round, so to speak, because they are what allows us to kind of do things differently and have, put new creativity into it, because it gives us new abilities, these new cameras. And this new one that came, or the 70D, as they call it, from the Canon side, really is kind of interesting. Very, very interesting, right?
Yeah, it is. It's. I think it's a bit more than just an evolution from the 60D. I mean, we kind of, talked down, I guess, a bit on the 60D in a few past shows of it not being, let's say, comparable to the 50D, the build quality and such. So with the 70D, the build quality appears to be the same as the 60D. It's the plastic body. Again, I mean, not that that's a horrible thing, but this camera to me really seems like it's more designed for shooting video. This really is like an HD, DSLR, video camera. Obviously it shoots stills, but the new features that it has really lends itself for shooting video very well.
Yeah, it's we were talking about it yesterday, and thinking about it and looking at all the features, comparing apples to apples, oranges to oranges. It really does not feel like in the 60D cam. It does not feel like a, let's say, T5S or whatever they want to call it,
right.
And it doesn't, and it's not a 7D, but it's kind of all those three combined into one, which is kind of neat. Yep. I mean, what they did is they took all of the features that people really enjoyed and they stuck them into one. Now, one of them is, probably the major point of this quote unquote video camera now of what it is that rear screen, right? Number one, it articulates, and number two, you can touch it.
Yeah,
can you
it's a
imagine?
touch screen.
Right? It's a touch screen. So we are now, like we were talking about, like, I don't even know, 6, 8, 10 months ago about cameras. We had an entire show. We were talking about pulling focus.
Right.
And we're like, eventually, these companies that are creating these apparatuses or apparatusi.
Apparati.
Anyways, the apparati. So anyways, they create exactly. They create things to pull focus, right? Well, we're saying, this is not going to be. They're going to be looking for, new lines of work, or at least new products to create, because that's going to be dead. And this is probably the first camera that I would say that really kind of does it right, that allows you to follow focus with the tip of your finger.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Right?
So it has continuous autofocus, which is good. There's only a handful of other DSLRs on the market that actually do it, and this is a new addition to the market. It's very cool. As with the iPhone, if you guys have played with the shooting video and doing different focus points, the same on the back of this camera. You can actually create your focus on your subject, and then actually touch the screen on another point, and it will refocus and focus in on that object, which is really cool.
Or you can lock, right? Or you can lock on a specific area in the shot. So, let's say I saw a video that they had playing where we might even put that up, where they had like a red apple or something, and he just touched the red apple, and as the things moved around it, that red apple continuously remained 100% tight in focus.
Right.
So, that's really, that is so huge, so huge. Someone like myself that, shoot events at times, HD, big, massive, like pulling all of this footage all together is hard enough. But to get people to actually, or teach people actually how to pull focus is a whole nother, that is a whole nother thing completely. Yep. So just think about having a camera, let's say a 7D or a 5D Mark II, a 5D Mark III, sitting with the bride, let's say, at the end of the at the runway, or the bride is going to walk down at the end of the aisle. Yeah. So you're sitting there, or on the runway, let's say if we're shooting fashion, but you're sitting at the end, and you know that you're going to have to pull focus as that person, that that bride is going to be walking down. You need to pull focus from the backside to the middle to the front, all smoothly, continuously, using a focus pulling device like we were just talking about. It would be amazing, right? We talked about to be able to lock in on the bride's face and just let it just pull focus as she's coming down.
Right.
Well, that's the type of thing that this allows you to do now. I do not have to teach people how to pull focus. I don't have to go and pre-focus for them or show them how to do it. Normally what we do is we take tape and we'll put it around the rings, and we'll put, let's say, a white piece or a white line, a black line, a red line. And what that will do is it'll indicate what the far range is, what's the mid range, and what is the close range. And what you would do is you would actually turn it and pull the focus and know that once they get to point X down the aisle, you need to be at this line.
Right.
When they get to point Y down the aisle, you need to be at this line. That's how you quote unquote pull focus. Well, we don't have to do that, Trev. That's going to be huge.
Yeah, the new camera is great from that standpoint. It allows you to get the moving object, keep that object in focus the entire time. Yeah, this really is going to change the aftermarket. Once this technology starts rolling out into the higher end cameras. Not that this isn't a good camera. Again, if you were purchasing this camera just to do video, you're going to be good to go. But eventually you're going to see this technology roll out into the next iteration of the 7D product line and the 5D Mark III. The next one will have this type of feature. It's really changing the way things are. But, looking at the other aspects of the camera, we've got a 20.2 megapixel APS-C sensor, Digic 5 Plus processor, which is, kind of the thing now.
It's good.
7 frames per second of continuous shooting. So that's not too bad.
It's not bad, not shabby.
19-point autofocus system.
Yeah, I'm like an autofocus kind of guy. Obviously, I'm just kind of nuts with it. And I think the more that's why we say Nikon's got it right. They've always had it right when it comes to autofocus. And it's just really great when you have so many points of autofocus. This one's got 19. That's not bad.
No, not bad at all. That's great. That's great.
What are the T lines? The T4i, T5, I think T3i, I think they had like 9 points.
Yeah, well, that's it. Most of Canon's cameras only had like 9 points. So this is definitely a step up from that.
Absolutely.
The other thing, we talked a while back too about it having the cameras coming out going to have built-in Wi-Fi, and this one does, which is pretty cool. Yes. You can actually get a iOS or an Android app and actually use it to control this camera, through Wi-Fi, which is really, really cool.
So you could use that. You could use it to control the camera, number one, but you could also use it, I believe, as a monitor.
Yes.
And to monitor what's going on. Chances are, Wi-Fi, I don't know how fast.
It's going to be laggy for video, I would guess, but for still images, it would be fine.
Yeah, you're still going to take an HDMI out or something to be able to take a feed out to see live onto a larger screen, but still to be able to see. Yeah. Okay. So having that articulating back is fantastic, because what that allows you to do is, let's say you are doing a show like we are. It's nice to have the camera in front of you and actually see what the camera sees in front of you also by just flipping over that screen. That is fantastic. Yep. Or let's say, you are shooting a wedding like we were talking about. You lock in on the bride. Now you flip that articulating screen around so you can see it, and you stick that onto a monopod, and you can actually record from the top of them, let's say dancing or whatnot. Yep. That is a great shot.
It gives you the flexibility of changing that camera angle. You can hold it down at waist level, turn your screen upwards so you can see it. Right. You can hold it up above your head, turn it down so you can see it. Yeah, I definitely like that a lot. And it gives you the ability to hold the main body with one hand, have one hand on the screen out to the side, and be able to touch the screen for your different focus points, which is great. So, the design of it, the ergonomics of it looks pretty good. I do like the Wi-Fi. They actually give you the ability to do sharing with it as well, social sharing, so you can transfer photos from the camera to your phone or your other device and share them through the net, social networks that way. So
yeah, I think the only thing missing was that I saw, as far as the things that we said that is going to end up happening, like for example Wi-Fi, that you're not having to spend $200-300 for Wi-Fi inside of a battery grip or something. They did not put GPS in it. I think that Canon could have very easily put a $10 GPS little chip in there or something, and actually kind of complete it. But you know what, guys? Listen, it's cheap, right? It's like $1,000 or something. $1,100, really reasonable for what it is. And just like Trevor said, it is all of a video camera at this point that shoots that on an APS-C chip. So you're going to have great low light, and you'll be able to rack your focus if you want with your fingertip, which is just stupid amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it's great.
And a lot of cool stuff. So for the money, if you guys are looking for, you don't want to go and do like a 7D or a 5D Mark III or something like that, this might be the way to go, just for the sole reason that you're able to follow a subject. It definitely has a huge presence. It will be hugely appreciated with folks like me, especially even doing runway stuff. We do runway all the time, and to follow these girls down the runway, I mean, it's a task. And you know what? Sometimes we don't get it right. We try our best, but sometimes we just don't get it right. So very cool.
Very cool. So based on last week's conversation of using different lenses for your portrait photography, trying different things. I know, Joe, you talked about the 24 to 70 being a lens that you really like, and Sigma actually just released a new lens, a new 24 to 70 lens this week for Nikon and Canon mounts.
Yeah, this is exciting. Okay, so I like the 70-200 for portraits. I do like that lens. But if I want to be able to do both real tight headshot portraits, but also body work, then the 24 to 70 is kind of like the lens of choice.
Right.
But I do like 2.8 on that lens, so that you can go wide open and really get a nice milky back end on it. If let's say you're shooting outside or whatnot.
Right.
Now, obviously, if you're in the studio, it doesn't really make a difference. You could turn the background to whatever you want. But anyways, so the thing here is forever a 24 to 70, either a Tamron or a Canon or Nikon glass, you're spending almost $2,000.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just
expensive.
it. You're spending well in excess of $1,000, $1,500 to $2,100, $2,200 for the L glass. Now, the beauty here, before we go any further, is this lens is just over $800 with rebate.
Yep.
That is an incredible feat for any camera company to come out with a straight lens, a 2.8 that is a 24 to 70. That has not been done so far. This will be the first one out there. And I did see some of the images like taken with this, and it looks really nice. It looks acceptable for sure. And the thing here, guys, is, for example, my 24 to 70 strapped onto like a 5D, that rig ends up being 5, 6, 8 pounds or something.
Sure.
This lens weighs next to nothing. It is very small.
Yeah,
and
it's lighter weight,
lightweight.
and that might be an issue for some people. Is the build quality? That's why Sigma is able to do it for, $899 as opposed to $2,000 is because of the build quality.
$2,300.
But the fact of the matter is, you could buy 2 of these lenses for the price of one
almost
Canon
3.
L glass. So
Right.
If you damaged it or what have you, I mean, Sigma has warranty service. They have repair service.
Sure.
They have certain levels of repair on these things. So if it is a manufacturer's defect, of course, because of the build quality, they'll fix it or replace it. And if you do damage it or you're having problems with it, you can send it in for service. They'll get it fixed. But yeah, I like the price. I mean, for $800, $900, it's definitely a nice way to go, as opposed to even the Tamron version is $1,300.
Yeah, exactly. So for $800, I mean, this is cheap. So 2 things. One, if you did decide to buy a lens like this, and like you said, QC might not, quality control might not be as great with, the major manufacturer lenses like a Nikon or a Canon. What you really want to do, guys, is instead of picking it up online, which we love to do, and, save our $50, go to the store, strap it onto your camera. I've said this over and over.
Sure, and try it out
again. Try it out and have them, break out 2 or 3 units and shoot all 3 of them. Focus on, attack, and take a look at your image.
Yep.
Don't shake, and don't go and have some espresso before you do this. But, if you can put it onto, a table or something, just to really, make sure that it's solid, take that photo and look, because you might find that from one to the next, there might be a slight variance in the quality or the sharpness, the exact sharpness. So that's number one. Number 2, this lens, in comparison to the major manufacturer lenses, that is a zoom lens. It zooms externally.
Yeah.
There's a barrel that goes in and out, in and out.
Right.
Whereas like a 24 to 70 on the Canon side, that zooming is happening internal to the lens. So if I'm going to go shoot, let's say on a boat, a yacht someplace, or I'm going to shoot on the beach or whatnot, and there's salt in the air, I will not use a lens like this, because what happens is that those minute crystals go onto that barrel, and then they get sucked in and out, in and out, in and out.
Yep.
And it actually will wear that barrel. It'll mess things up. Junk and gunk will get up inside that lens, even though it's sealed, and they do their best to seal them. Whenever you have moving parts that's external to the world, they're going in and out, eventually that will go bad.
It
So
will,
just
and
another,
that's the problem. You don't want to get that grime inside the lens, obviously. Right. I mean, for the mechanics of it, but also for the picture quality. I mean, that's going to start getting particles in there that's going to interfere, and you're not going to be able to. You're going to be spot touching everything that you shoot, So
yeah, many photographers will say, listen, do not change your lenses, if you're on a beach or something, because they're afraid of getting stuff into the camera. But as bad, is this ruining a lens and just taking that barrel and just crunching that thing in and out with these salt particles. So anyways, those are the 2 negatives, but the positives just, I think, outweigh it. Number 1, the weight is just crazy light compared to these the heavier lenses from the major manufacturers, number 1. And number 2, it's not only cheap, but the thing is the stuff that I'm seeing, these pictures that are coming out of it, it looks good.
It still looks quality,
So, it's definitely something to look into, especially if you need a 24-70 and you don't want to spend that top dollar. This is a great way to get involved in this type of straight 2.8, which is a fast glass, fast lens, and you can shoot, let's say, a wedding. You're in basically the dark.
Right.
So take a look at it. Check it out. I like it.
Very cool.
So anyways, guys, before we go any further, we got a lot more for you guys. Hang in there just a minute, and we're going to go and take a quick break to hear from a couple of our sponsors.
Are you frustrated with slightly out of focus images when you know your autofocus spot was dead on? It's simply not your fault. From manufacturer to manufacturer, and even lens copy to lens copy, there are slight variances to the exact spot where light is being focused onto the sensor. Finally, there's a product that allows you to compensate for those variances and make sharper images immediately. Focus Pyramid, the autofocus lens calibration tool, is an absolute must for every photographer. If you want to make the sharpest images possible, then you need to take control over your camera's focusing system. With the Focus Pyramid, you can calibrate all of your lenses on your lunch break. The Focus Pyramid makes lens calibration quick and easy at an affordable price. So give your lenses a new lease on life and take your photography to the next level. Head over to focuspyramid.com/DPC and get an additional 10% off just for being a show listener. As photographers, we're always trying to increase sales and profits after every event.
We shoot an event and have hundreds or even thousands of images that just sit on our hard drives.
Perhaps a better workflow would increase sales by getting those valuable images in front of the client.
That's where ShootProof comes in. At shootproof.com, you can have an online gallery for all of your clients' proofing needs.
ShootProof helps increase profits while building your brand and securing your photos without charging commission fees on sales.
ShootProof galleries display your photos beautifully while helping to streamline your workflow and automate more of your business through their intuitive studio control panel.
Once approved, photos can be directly fulfilled through ShootProof's various professional lab partners or fulfilled by you.
All ShootProof plans have the same feature set. You simply choose the number of client photos stored, decide what products to sell, and the price.
Try ShootProof today by taking advantage of their free 30-day trial offer.
As a Digital Photography Cafe viewer, ShootProof is offering a 20% discount off any of their premium plans by using promo code DPC20 at checkout.
ShootProof. Upload, share, sell, print.
All right, so we're back. So last week we talked about a new segment that we want to do on the show for featured photographers. We want you guys to call in, leave your messages, and we want to share your work with the DPC photo community.
Yeah, we thought it was fun, right?
Yeah.
Just something interesting, right? To be able to highlight some of you guys that just, contribute to the show on a regular basis, show your love, and we kind of want to give back a little bit.
Give a little love back. That's right.
Yeah, give a little bit of love back. But yeah, be able to highlight your work.
So we had a call this week from Keith Dixon is his name, and his website is keithbdixon.com. So go check it out. And we're going to play his message now and take a look at some of his work.
Hey, Trevor and Joseph, this is Keith Dixon. Wanted to call in and thank you guys for just your commitment on putting shows together and all the information that you're putting out. I love it. I listen to the show every Monday. And let me just kind of give you some quick background information on me. I'm a portrait photographer, have been for the last 8 years. And I specialize in portrait, and I also shoot a large amount of corporate pictures, executive photos, everything corporate. So product, it's the mainstay of my business. So keithbdixon.com, you guys probably already know that, keithbdixon.com. And I just wanted to thank you guys again for all the love and support on Twitter. Appreciate it. And I will talk to you guys real soon.
Excellent. Right. Thanks, Keith,
thanks
for calling.
a lot. Yeah, thank you, Keith.
Yeah, so, looking at his website, he's got some nice work here. We definitely like the real estate photography. There's some really nice shots here. Interiors are always challenging to shoot, because you're dealing with different light sources. You've got overhead lights, you've got windows and stuff. So to try and get a good interior definitely takes a lot of work.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. Interiors, not just the light, is an issue, but it's the Kelvin of the light.
Right.
And many times you have, multiple light sources. You have some that, are sitting at around 2200, way down.
Sure.
Then you have some that are in 6000 range. So you have the gamut. And, sometimes we'll have to gel stuff, gel flash, sometimes gel an entire window to make it happen, so to speak. So, respect whenever it comes to any type of interior work, because it really can be challenging, and it definitely shows what you can do. So
that's right.
HDR, any kind of high dynamic range type of work that you can do with interiors definitely helps out a lot.
Absolutely,
they don't need to look HDR, but the bottom line is they are, because you're having to take stuff, like I said, from very extremely bright, circumstances to very dark, and be able to kind of meld them together and do it pleasantly to try to sell the location. I do this on a regular basis. I do like $1 million properties right on the water. That's like kind of one of my things. And, they hire you to sell a location, to sell a piece. And that's, after a while, if you're really good at it, they know that, the real estate companies will know who they can go to sell a piece of property, because they know that it can have some legs and they can actually sell it.
Right.
But with the right photographs, they sell it for more than what they normally would. So they don't mind throwing you $5-10 grand to do some work that they're going to go make, an extra $750,000 on. They're very happy with it.
Sure.
So, yeah. So very good work, Keith. Like it.
Yeah. We appreciate the call. We appreciate all your support that you give us. I know Keith is one of our super fans, we like to call. He definitely shares the love a lot on Twitter, and we really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
He also called in with a suggestion for a show topic, and actually, it really is it was a good thought. It was a good suggestion, and it's one of these kind of deep, theoretical, type of conversations that
it could go down a hole, like a rabbit hole you don't want to go down, but we can kind of discuss it and try not to get too crazy about it. But it is important, and it does kind of highlight where the industry is at, especially as camera equipment has changed and the barriers to entry are just being broken,
right?
On a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and we're getting a lot of folks that are in the industry that have never been there before, that used to flip burgers, and now they're professional photographers. And
that's right.
We have to kind of just understand it and not get too nuts about it, and do what we do and what we do best.
Right, exactly. The topic idea came from a post that was over on Photo Focus, and it's titled, "I Only Shoot with Natural Light." And, he wanted to get our thoughts about that article. And then he wrote an article himself to kind of express some of his thoughts on his blog. He said, so basically, to sum it up, there's a theme going around the photography industry about what defines a professional photographer. And in the article, the person is writing in saying, I only shoot with natural light. That's how real photographers work, which is kind of a very bold statement to make.
It's kind of interesting.
Yep. Now, the idea that you don't use a certain piece of equipment, or that you only have a certain set of skills that defines you as a photographer, or that you aren't a photographer based on that.
Yeah, I love the whole idea of being defined. I am a Canon shooter, I am a Nikon shooter, and that usually, this type of thing, or I only shoot natural light, or I only shoot, strobes, or whatever. Right. It's just stupid. The bottom line, it's stupid. As a professional, we're giving a task. We're given this task. We're giving a goal, an end goal for, let's say, an ad campaign, or just, maybe just you're shooting a portrait. They just want a good-looking picture.
Yep.
They don't really care how you get it. You can light them with candlestick, but if you create a beautiful portrait of them that they look pleasing in,
right?
You've accomplished the goal of the person, or you've accomplished the goal of the the ad campaign, the DP, let's say,
right,
the director of photography on set, or whatever it is. You have a goal, you have something to accomplish. However you get there, they don't even want to know, and they don't even care. So the whole idea of I only shoot natural light, I only shoot this, that, or whatever, it's just another one of these things just to kind of it's the rift, right?
Yeah, well,
So
that's it. It's one of these dividing type of conversations. I mean, like you said, the whole Canon and Nikon thing, right? That's been going around forever, and there are people out there in the photo community that are very vocal about one being better than the other. And if you shoot one or the other, you're no good. And, and basically, why are people doing it? And my personal feeling is it's all about competition. Everything is about competition. It's who's the best photographer, competition to get the clients, competition to be the most popular on social media, because this is where everybody's vocalizing their thoughts, sharing their blog posts, and it's competition about the equipment. Who's got the best equipment? Is it Canon? Is it Nikon? Is it Sony? Is it, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter, who has the best equipment,
No, it's that. Okay, so if you are sitting on forums on a regular basis, trying to figure out if a new camera is good or whatnot, and, talking about your equipment and asking about other equipment is one thing, but then to start trolling and making these comments saying how great yours is over the next person or whatever, it's just obvious that these people obviously do not have work, because if they did, they would be shooting,
and
they
not
wouldn't be
trolling.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, you can't troll and shoot and edit and, do your, bookkeeping and do your advertising campaigns and do your social media management and all the stuff that we do as photographers or studio owners. You just can't sit and troll all day. No. So what happens is these people that you see on there, there's no reason to listen to them anyways, because chances are they don't know their ass from their elbow, I guess you would say. But the bottom line is this happens all the time, and it creates this divide in the community.
Right.
And, people that are more like the people that are just getting started into photography, they will gravitate towards, communities where they feel accepted. And a lot of these, communities that have this trolling going on a regular basis, they'll kind of pull away from. So you'll notice which forums are good, which ones you can go and actually read something, get some good information from, or even podcasts that you listen to.
Yeah, blogs.
Absolutely, blogs.
I mean, there are people that are out there with shows and blogs and stuff that are very controversial because that's their thing. And
they're controversial just to be controversial.
Right.
It's one thing to be, sometimes you might say something that might be controversial and you just don't want to be PC about absolutely everything you say because that's, that's
being PC
also.
doesn't get the comments. Being PC doesn't get the shares and the likes and stuff. And I get that, but when it comes to business, all right, if you're just running a show or you're running a blog and you're just looking for numbers, you're just looking for traffic. I mean, that's one thing. I mean, it's the whole Howard Stern thing, right? The whole shock jock.
Exactly.
He says outrageous things because he wants to draw the listeners in. Oh my gosh, did you hear what he said? What's he going to say next? That's the idea. But for me personally, from a business standpoint, I don't want to degrade other photographers. I don't want to bash them for the sake of making myself look better. Because the fact of the matter is, to the client, the end client or the prospect, it makes you look petty. It makes you look small. Because you're out there talking trash about another local photographer saying that they're no good, you shouldn't hire them, you won't get your images on time, whatever. It makes you look small. So rather, you talk yourself up and you give them reasons to want to hire you. Me, personally, I make myself a resource to potential clients. Right. I provide them with more information than what they asked for. Sometimes too much, No,
absolutely. We do the exact, it's exactly what we do, So we'll do, we're close to Disney. A lot of the agencies, around Orlando, they'll use us for doing some of the kids, the up and coming actors, the kids that you'll see on Disney Channel and whatnot. Right. And so we'll do headshots for them. And, I can't tell you how many times, parents have come to us and with like, oh, this location or this photographer or whatever was, downplaying or saying that the list of photographers are terrible,
right,
and they're never going to get them, work in the industry and blah, blah, blah. And then what happens is they end up coming to us, number one, because the large agencies in Orlando will recommend us, number one. But number two, they'll come to us because we are, like you said, a resource,
Right.
and they can come at any time and call and say, Joe, what do I need to do to get, my child, he's 12 and he really wants to do this and he wants to get into acting. What do we need? And, they might end up coming in here with like all of this big, long thing of list of what they need, $5,000 worth of stuff. And I'll tell them, listen, you need this. It's like going to be $500. And they're like, what?
Right.
But the thing is being that resource and explaining to them the industry, what to look out for, the charlatans that are out there, how they, feed on you, the parent, and what they do and whatnot, and give them this whole rundown. Even if they don't use me, it builds respect. Number one, in the industry, it builds respect for them. And even if they don't use me, they will recommend me to someone else.
Sure.
So yes, be a resource. Don't
That's
go
right.
and talk trash about, all these people. And this is what happens a lot of times, on the forums especially.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, every photographer needs to find a niche. And if they want to make a bold statement like I only shoot with natural light, that's great if that's your niche, if that's the way you approach your photography. And you know what? Maybe you're a fine art photographer shooting landscapes and you only shoot with natural light. That's fine.
Right.
But if you're not shooting with artificial light because you don't have the skills to, and if you're trying to call yourself a professional, that is a problem. Because as a professional, right, Joe? I mean, we need to be able to shoot in any situation.
It doesn't matter. Like I said, the art director or whoever says, I need this image, and they don't care how you get it. It could be inclement weather. It could be a freaking tornado outside and you have just, muddy light. But so at that point, you're going to need to pull some artificial light out because you got to make this thing happen. So the light that you receive is not ideal. And, saying that I'm only, natural light, what does that mean? Does that mean that you only shoot natural light that comes in from the north? Like a painter, like myself, from years? Or are you only shooting southern light, or I shoot western light, or I shoot eastern light? Do I shoot midday? Do I shoot, what I mean?
Yeah.
So the whole idea of natural, like, what does it mean? Are you modifying it? Are you using scrims? Are you using, reflectors? What kind of reflector are you using? Are you using gold? Are you using, gold flake, silver flake? What are you doing? So the whole idea, light is light.
Light is light, whether it's coming from the sun or whether it's coming from flash units, little tiny strobes.
Yeah, and like you said, if you do not know how to use a flash, and you choose not to use a flash because you just don't know, and then you go and talk trash about, flash photography, well, shame on you.
Right.
But bottom line, shame on you. Just learn.
Right.
And then when you finish learning and you know how to use these flashes, well, fine. And you don't want to use them anymore, but you already know it. That's okay. It's the same thing with rules.
Right.
You need to know the rules.
You need to
before
know
you
the
can break
rules
the
before
rules.
you
You don't
break
want to
them. That's right.
just go talk trash about the rules. Well, know them. And then once you know them, you don't want to use them. So be it. It's
Yeah.
okay. I'm all right with that. But yeah, so
I mean,
this was
the idea to even add to that statement. That's how real photographers work. I mean, obviously, that's just in there to incite a comment. And this is part of the divide in the photo community. I mean, we look at it, DPC, current photographer, Joe, in the teachings that you do. I mean, we want to help you guys learn. Whether you learn a lot from us or you learn a little bit, a tidbit. Yeah. I mean, if you learn something from us, then we've done our job. And we want to appeal to all photographers. We don't want to, segment the photographers. Our show, because of the topics we talk about, we tend to be geared more for the emerging pro and the professional photographer, the advanced shooter, rather than the very basic beginner. I mean, some of these topics are pretty high level from that standpoint, business topics. Sure. But nonetheless, I mean, if somebody comes to us and says, hey, I've been a point and shoot shooter and now I want to upgrade to my first DSLR, do you have recommendations? Yeah. I mean, we're going to try and help them out. That's what we do. We're building community, right? I mean, that's the idea. We are building a group of photographers, a group of people that are coming around a subject of photography, and the idea of being able to learn from each other. And these people out here who are, spewing this negativity, in the forums and making comments like this, they're more than happy to take our advice or anybody else's advice on how to make a better image, but they're not sharing in return. Because if they put themselves out there on the carpet there, throw out some information, they're opening themselves up to criticism. I mean, we get criticism all the time, right? Yeah, you guys don't know what the hell you're talking about. It's whatever. I mean, that's your opinion. I mean, we do know what we're talking about when, not about everything, and we try not to talk about those subjects, but don't.
The bottom line is, don't buy into all this, crazy nonsense. And when you see a forum or you see a show or someone that are just continuously trying to incite, just
move on.
Move on. Yeah, look elsewhere.
Don't give them the benefit of responding to their craziness. Don't get yourself into that divide. Stay.
They're looking for clicks. They're looking for that constantly being just like you said earlier, like a Howard Stern. They're just looking for the controversy so that they can get clicks. They can get people. They don't care if people hate them. A lot of these folks that are like this, number one, either they don't shoot at all, or number two, they have a ton of money, so they don't need to shoot. So whatever they shoot is just they do it just because.
Just because.
There's a lot of rationale a lot of reasoning that goes behind why you hear a lot of this stuff that's that goes on. So like I said, don't take it to heart. I wouldn't even get most of the time with this stuff, I would just look at it, look over it, go on to the next thing. And as soon as you start seeing this happen on a couple of the different forums or on a couple of different shows or different sites,
time to move out of those areas.
Just move out of it. Just shut them off. Yeah. Don't listen to it anymore, because that's all.
And don't even give those people the time of day after that. Don't give them the credit that they're looking for. I have to say, there was a blog post a few weeks ago on Scott Kelby's blog. Now, I like Scott Kelby. I've never met him personally. I mean, I've seen him at shows and stuff, but we never were introduced. But I like what he's doing. He's kind of a quirky, fun guy. He likes to joke around. But I mean, that man's got an empire. I mean, he's got it going on. He's got a couple great podcasts. He's an author. He's got a ton of books. He's got this training that he does, and he's a working professional photographer.
And he's not trolling.
And he's not trolling. Well, with this whole Adobe Creative Suite controversy that's come out over the last month, he wrote a post where he wasn't specifically bashing Adobe Creative Suite.
Completely not his norm, I guess, but
well, no, I mean, he is an Adobe trainer. I mean, that's it. And a lot of the people that work with him are Adobe trainers. They're not necessarily going to come out and bash the company whose products they do training for.
Maybe nudge it a little.
Maybe nudge it. That's right. I mean, and I think that's what we did. I don't think that we were bashing Adobe, but I think we were speaking our minds and the minds of many photographers within our community, the feelings about this whole Creative Cloud. Well, apparently, he wrote this article and he didn't apparently in detail enough express the viewpoints of those not in favor of Adobe Creative Cloud, and they started bashing him. Oh, you're being paid, by Adobe, blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. He had like 800 negative responses on his blog on this article that it drove him enough to come out and write another follow-up article about the trolls and about the negative people and stuff. And then you read through those comments and they're awful, and I'm really surprised Scott came out and wrote an article like that, but I guess he just felt compelled because he was being battered.
Bashed with nearly 1,000. I mean, this is, and like I said from the very beginning, this is the community has changed a little bit by this, as we call it, the barrier to entry, and the people that are really not photographers are becoming quote unquote pros, with a couple of DVD knowledge, and that's the end of it, and some YouTube videos, and then what happens is they speak on stuff that they really don't know. And troll the people that have been around for 10, 20, 30 years. So but this is just the way it is. You need all of us in the community need to get just a thick skin and just let it
and not give in to the bully tactics that some of these people are using. I mean, it's typical grammar school bully, a lot of this stuff, and you just have to say, you know what, that's not what I'm about, and I'm not going to contribute. I'm not going to frequent their blog or their podcast or their workshops, or I'm not going to support them. If they want to be the shock jock of photography, fine. And some people will like that and will support that, and others won't. And you know what?
Well,
Howard Stern's done very well with it.
He does really well. He does really well. So, maybe there's something to it, Trev. I don't know. Yeah. But Keith, I hope that helps. We kind of gave you laid it out a little bit of what we feel with this. Yeah. So hopefully that kind of
Keith wrote his own blog post about it. So we're going to have a link in the show notes. I'd encourage you to go over. You can read some thoughts from the original article, and you can read his thoughts, and now you have our thoughts
in response.
And now you'll be burned out with all this stuff.
Yeah. No, exactly. So anyways, we are running late as always here. We need to get out of here.
Yeah, we do. You know what? Last week we talked about the featured photographer. We brought that out there. That's why Keith called in, which was fantastic. So, we just wanted to throw it out there. We're going to continue to throw it out there because this community interaction, positive community interaction, is what we're looking for. We want you guys to share in our community, and we're asking you to call in with your comments. Call in, just tell us about yourself and about the photography that you create. Plug your website, of course. We want to share that with the community. We want to share you and your photography with the community. So,
we'll have to give that number at the end of the show, but don't forget, guys, also, what would really help us out a lot is, if you like the show, if you enjoy us, give us a 5-star review in iTunes. It's so very important. It's not really to kind of stroke our ego in any way, because we do appreciate you guys, even if you don't say anything, because we do get the comments anyways. But by giving us that 5-star review helps us in rankings, in placing, and basically gets the show out to a greater number, so we can reach more of you guys that hopefully we can help every week. So,
That's right. So Joe, we're done.
We are done.
Just go. Twitter. What is it?
Just see. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me at Joseph Christina, and that is Christina without an H.
Great. And I'm at Trevor Current.
Awesome. All right, guys. We are done and out of here. Finally. So anyways, you can get all of the show notes from this episode by visiting digitalphotographycafe.com/112. And don't forget to send us your questions and comments to comments@digitalphotographycafe.com, or simply call 440-345-6707. Once again, that's 440-345-6707. And we will see you next week.
You've been watching the Digital Photography Cafe show with Trevor Current and Joseph Christina. Be sure to subscribe to the show for free in iTunes or through RSS. You can also listen on Stitcher and TuneIn Radio and watch in HD on TiVo. Visit digitalphotographycafe.com for show notes and to connect with your hosts.